Ladies and gentlemen, wow, what a week it has been. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's been a stressful week. A lot of people were not able to go to work, and once again, it felt weird to live. I mean, I was driving around the city and everywhere. It was really weird, but we thank God that we're here, and I thank God personally for your life. If you are able to see this video, that means you are alive, and if you're alive, that means God has intervened in your life. So we thank God for that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I have a very special person sitting right next to me. Today it's not only my in-law, but it's someone that also has inspired me in one way or the other, with a few other things that she's involved in and what she does. And today we're going to learn all about her, and what she has to what she's doing at the moment, and hopefully with her story and everything about her, we'll be able to impact your life and to inspire someone and to bless someone. So please take a seat, have a cup of coffee, call a friend, call a brother, call a sister, and just chill, and let's have a good journey together. Yeah, man. Let's talk. Can you talk, man? Let's talk. I know you got the story, man. Come on, let's talk. Let's talk. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said earlier, today I have a very special person. Um, so I'll just allow her to introduce herself before I say anything, and then we can move on from there. Please introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell them your name, who you are, where you're from, and anything that you wanna include in that introduction.
No worries, thank you. My name is Mikleen, but I go by Mimi. That's the name I've been known by all my life. I'm here. I'm so excited to be invited today. It's such an honor. I am a mom, I am a wife, I am a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, and above all those titles, I am a child of God, and it's such a pleasure to be here today.
Wow. Wow. Above all that, you're a child of God. I really like that. And I think just being a child of God, it means a lot to many people. To me, it should mean a lot to everybody. So thank you so much for being here. Miklin, but you go by Mimi.
Yes.
All right. I'm very honored to have you here. I'm very happy. And thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I remember when I invited you, it's been almost 2 years.
No.
No, no, it's been some time. But thank you so much for taking out time and making time to be here. It's such an honor for me, because you are someone that I've learned personally who you are, and what you're capable of, and everything that you're doing. Um, Usually, everybody that I invite here, it's in one way or the other, I've been blessed with what they're doing, or who they are, and what they're doing in community, and how they're impacting lives. And for you, you fit that description, and that's why you're here. So thank you so much for coming. It's an honor for me to have you here, not because you are my in-law, but because of who you are personally, and what you're doing. So today we're going to learn about you. First of all, before we go any further, you say you're a child of God, so you're born again. How did you meet Christ?
My story, I guess, it kind of starts from birth. I was born into a Christian family. I was dedicated as a baby. So my whole life I've gone through, the motion of following in my parents' footsteps when it comes to my faith. But I think the moment I owned my faith, the moment, salvation became my own personal story, I think would be when I was, I'd say, 22 years old. That's when I can say that I met Christ for
For
myself.
yourself.
Yeah. It was no longer the God of my mother or the God of my father. It was my God.
Yeah.
So 22 years old, it's actually a year I always, 22 going to 23, it's a year I always refer back in my life, because it was a year that truly transformed me.
Wow.
And it just, it made me who I am today. Yeah. I guess it wasn't anything super dramatic or no, it was just I was going through a tough time in my personal life. I had done so well. I had finished uni, had started working, but my personal life outside of work, outside of studies, was just not going the way I imagined. And I just found myself in despair. I found myself feeling lost. I found myself feeling like, God, is this it? You know, like, is this what my life is going to amount to? And it was during that time where I was sort of just lost and not knowing where to go, that God really came to me, and I met God for myself. And I feel like in our generations as millennials, we tend to, for those of us who've been blessed to have parents, mothers who are born again, who are fasting and praying for you, I feel like our generation makes the mistake of hiding under that. You feel like your mother's prayers will carry you on forever. And I think in that moment, I really realized that God was calling me to himself. Aside from my mother, like, who am I to God? Because you come to realize that at the end of the day, when you meet God, it's going to be you and him. It won't be you and your mother, your amazing, your prayerful mother. It's not. It's just going to be you and God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I feel like that year, that 22 going to 23, was a year that I truly felt like my faith became my own. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Now, you know, as a new believer or someone who you've now taken a step where you're making this God your own, and you know, sometimes I remember personally, you know, it was not easy. You know, did you go through any challenges as a new believer? And if there were, how did you overcome them? You know, just you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, when we share our story, we do help a lot of people without realizing, because you know, there could be someone who's really struggling. They've decided, okay, Jesus it is, but then they don't know anywhere further. In fact, what they were suffering or what they were going through, it got worse, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So, do you have any challenges that you went through as a new believer, and how did you overcome them?
I definitely do. I remember just feeling that sense of hope again. Once I really felt like, oh, you know what, God knows me, and I'm getting to know this God that I never knew before. So that my hope was restored, and I could see again. Things were not so dark anymore. But I feel like you kind of go through a honeymoon phase when you first become a believer, where everything is so hopeful. You have such amazing faith. Nothing is impossible. And I remember, actually, soon after that, I remember my whole family just went through a big shaking. I lost my job. I remember my brother at the time lost his job. It was just like we're facing so many struggles at the same time. And I just remember thinking, God, and I remember particularly in that time, my faith seemed to be the strongest in my household. And I remember thinking, God, you have such a funny sense of humor. How can you get me from a place of despair to a place of hope, only to bring me back to a place of hopelessness again? And now it's not just me. Now I've got my family looking to me. I'm the one encouraging them. I'm the one saying, you know what, God is capable. I'm the one saying God is able. I'm the one saying, guys, we have to hold on to our faith. yet I'm being pushed down further and further. And I just remember going into a place of, you know what, God, I just surrender. I know I had so many big plans in this short amount of time that, you've saved me, but I feel like maybe it's too much. So I'm not gonna plan ahead anymore. I'm not gonna desire things in the future. I'm just gonna surrender in this moment because I have nothing else to offer. I have nothing else to offer anybody or to myself. So I'm just gonna surrender. And it was in that time of surrendering to God that really I was unshakable. I remember during that tough season in my life, I think it went on for nearly a year. And I went through a place of, because God was drawing me to Himself, then I was being alienated from people in a way. So I lost friends. Obviously I lost my job, as I had said, and it just felt like only I was going through that in my whole circle of friends, and actually my family, because I remember that time my brother then got promoted at work. Everything was fine, and it's like, oh God, everybody around me is just living their best life except me. I just thank God for the Holy Spirit, because that idea of surrendering is really what saved me. Because I feel like it was either keep fighting, saying, oh, I'm going to be good, or tomorrow's going to be better, or God, I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like, but I surrender. Because at the end of the day, I'm in your hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think to our viewers, it's really, really important to do surrender to God.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time we intend, or we want to fix things, but it's better the other way. It's better to just surrender and just put everything in God's hand. Whatever that you're going through, whatever the challenge, I know that when you decide to make that decision to follow Christ, the devil also stands. And will bring a lot of things just to try to pull you back, But one thing that you can do, like our sister here, is to surrender to God, and God will take you through. Will take you through. And I think also God allows us to go through situations to prepare us for tomorrow. So that's also, it's not always a negative thing. It can be also a positive thing. Because you don't know what you're gonna go through tomorrow, but God knows. And sometimes God allows us to go through just to strengthen us.
It's preparation.
So hang in there. If you are facing challenges right now as a new believer, just hang in there, continue to pray, just surrender to God. Continue to pray. God will take you through. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, are you Australian?
I am Australian by choice.
Yeah. Were you born here?
No.
Okay.
My family migrated here when I was 12, 13, I think. Yes, I've been here a while.
Wow. Yeah, I think we came here, I was 14. Yeah, 14 going to 15. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, apart from what I said about the new believers, do you have any advice to give to our viewers concerning that?
I guess just going back on surrendering. Surrendering is not an easy thing to do, because I think our human nature is to want to control, to want to fix, as you mentioned, to want to stay on top of things. But you know what? You're gonna sweat more trying to stay on top of things. Whereas if you surrendering is not giving up. I think sometimes when we hear the word surrender, we think you're waving the flag of defeat, but it's not. As a believer, you need to know that you have a limit as a human being,
Mm.
and God is limitless.
Yeah.
So when you surrender, you are saying, God, I have reached my limit as I can do for myself,
Mm.
and I want you to take over.
Take over.
To take
Wow.
over. And
Wow.
that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
because you grow up thinking, oh, I make life choices that have not failed me so far.
Yeah.
So why not? Why surrender to this invisible God?
Yeah.
But honestly, one of the things that has given me peace in my life is knowing that I'm good in the hands of God.
Amen.
And that comes with knowing, you know what? I may not know what's coming tomorrow. I may not know that the plans I have will come to pass,
Yeah.
but I know that God has got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what you just said there, because it applies even for not just for new believers.
Yeah.
Even there's people who have been believers for a while,
Yeah.
and things just turns around, and they feel square back to zero. And I like what you just said there. Surrendering is not giving up.
No.
Surrendering is not giving up. That's really powerful, I reckon. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, before we go through a lot of stuff, I want us to talk about Wounded to Warrior. First of all, I come across Wounded to Warrior. I think it's been twice that you've had events about it that I was aware. What is it?
Wounded to Warrior is, the only way I can describe it is it's a passion purpose project for me. It's not something that I set out to pursue out of profit or gain. I think it came to me, that name anyway came to me in 2018, I believe. And it just fit perfectly the desire that I had in my heart to just help people, particularly women, young women, realize that, just because you've been wounded by life does not make you a victim of life. People have faced so many traumatic things in life. Sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, you know what? You've had it easy. You've had it so easy compared to some of the stories I've heard. So the aim for Wounded to Warrior is to basically just empower young women to live a life that is beyond their pain. A life that is not defined by their pain. A life that is not defined by their mistakes or the bad life choices that they've made. Instead, to have that pain, to have that wound push you and propel you to, a purpose and a future that God has planned for you. Wow. I look at life, in two ways. You either be a victim of circumstances or you can be a victim. Because life happens, life happens, and things happen to people that sometimes are out of our control. So if something happens to you that you cannot control, what other power do you have? The only power you have is how you respond to it. Yeah. So you either respond to it as a victim or poor me, or you can say, you know what, that happened to me, but I'll aim better. I'll look further, and I'll make better choices, and I'll let this story be an inspiration to others. Yeah. So that is the premise of Wounded to Warrior.
So what I'm looking at here, it says, wounded by life's circumstances, turn your pain into purpose. Warriors are ordinary. Warriors are ordinary young women learning to become fearlessly extraordinary. You've used two words there that are really big, ordinary and extraordinary. I don't know. Did you write that by yourself?
Mm.
Yeah. What was really in your spirit or in your mind when you are writing that?
Mm.
Because these things sometimes when you tell someone, someone, okay, you need to look beyond the pain or the wound that you're going through.
Mm.
It's not always easy
No, it's
to
not.
understand that,
No.
because they people really go through a tough time.
Mm. Mm.
I'm using people because you know, I think it has to do with women,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
but hey, sometimes men
Oh yeah, of
go through
course.
tough time too.
Of course, we're all human.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what was really going on in your mind? Because for me, these are two very big words that you know. So pretty much, it tells me that if you okay, you need it's a process to take you from ordinary to extraordinary, and that's alone. Just those two things there is already big. Um, how can how okay, how do you see that happening from someone who would go from ordinary to extraordinary, even though they've been through
A
this
lot of
pain
pain. Yeah.
and wound? Yeah.
Um, I guess what I had in mind when I wrote that is when you choose to just sit down and let whatever you've been through swallow you, and you respond to that pain, or you respond to that rejection, or you respond to the bad names that people have called you, then you're really setting a very low standard for yourself, and that is ordinary. That makes you ordinary.
Okay.
But when you choose to rise above it, when you choose to um, give yourself a better vision for your life, because I feel like many times, especially women in society that we live in now, many women just walk to the drums of whoever's beating that drum.
Yeah.
They don't have a sense of who they are as a person, because society tells them you need to be this, you need to do this, you need to go this place. They don't have a sense of self, and that is living an ordinary life. But when you choose to say, God, who have you called me to be? Who am I in your eyes? What do I mean to you? Then you are responding to an extraordinary calling. That's what I mean. I wasn't
Wow.
I wasn't thinking, oh, you go from working to a 9 to 5 to being a CEO. No, that's not.
it.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not that there's anything wrong with that. I think as women we should be
Yeah,
aspiring
of course.
to be our own bosses and
Of
CEOs.
course.
It's great.
Yeah.
But the place I was coming from when I wrote that is, you can choose to be called worthless. You can choose to be called nothing, and actually respond to it based on how you live your life. Or you can choose to say, yes, I've been called worthless, I've been called nothing, or she will never be anything in her life, but I do not respond to that. I respond to what God calls me to be.
Wow.
And that's the extraordinary part. Yeah.
All right. We'll do one more question about that, and then we'll go into the steps of how you operate in that stuff. You posted something very recently, and I think it's we can talk about it here. Okay. You said marriage is not a reward for the girl who won the singleness test. And then in your caption, you said, marriage is not reward and singleness is not a test. Can you elaborate about that? I found it really interesting. Anyway, I don't want to put my inputs yet before you elaborate, because a lot of people, I mean, back where I'm from, it's marriage is a big thing, and anyway, just elaborate first for this test and
it's just pretty much what you were just touching on. Millennials again, but particularly African millennials, I feel like we've made marriage the standard of womanhood, of making it, of I have arrived, of look at me, um, and we've made singlehood almost feel like a curse. And it's sad because
Yeah.
you become married, but you were once single. But it's a shame because us married women are the ones who are demonizing the single girls. And it's like, and then you make the single girls feel like there's something wrong with them for being single. Therefore, all they're thinking of is, I must get married, I must get married, I have to get married. And it's so sad because there are so many young girls who enter into marriages that are not ordained by God.
Yeah.
Simply because they are surrendering to the pressure.
And that pressure.
That pressure of, I must be married, I must be seen to be, someone's wife. And it's such a shame because unless God has called you to be in that marriage, you're just living life.
Yeah.
You're just going through the motions of life, but there's really nothing that will, once you're dead and gone, there's nothing that will mark you, or your marriage will not leave an impact because it's not ordained by God. And just to the single girls, enjoy your singleness, enjoy yourself. I'm a married girl, I can't just up and travel. I have to make sure my home is in order. I have to make sure my husband allows me to travel. Thankfully he does, he's an amazing man. But don't look at your singleness as a disease or it's a test I'm going through. No, it's not a test. It's not a test. If marriage is if God has ordained marriage for you, it will happen. And if not, honestly, it's not the end of the world. I remember before I met my husband, I used to pray this prayer and used to say, God, even if it means me getting married at 50 years old, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. And I really came to peace with it. I made peace with that statement, with that prayer, because I knew that doing it my own way was was going to cause more harm to me than just allowing God to do it in his time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I just try to encourage the girls that come to Wounded to Warrior is, you know what, enjoy the season that you are in. Every season has a purpose. Has a purpose. Don't waste your singleness season waiting to be married when you could be doing something that will impact somebody's life. When you could be inventing something, when you could be coming up with a business, when you could be traveling, when you could be doing something that adds to you as a person, because you're sitting waiting to be married. And there are people who are married who wish they were single. So it's just focus on the season that you are in.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much for elaborating on that. And I think it's important, it's important that people understand that every season has a purpose. And all right, so I know, so is this an organization? Is this a group? Is this a Facebook group? Is it a WhatsApp group? What is it? How do you operate? Oh,
it is an organization, not for profit. We operate on an event basis. So we meet based on the event that's coming up. I tend to do themed events. So like last Valentine's Day, for example, we did a Galentine's Day event, which was basically focused on getting to love yourself as just who you are, not because of having a man in your life. So last, I think October it was, I believe, or November. October. We had a workshop, an identity workshop. And that was just focused on learning your strengths, your weaknesses. How can you amplify what's good in your life? How can you tone down or learn to fix what's not working in your life, and learning your identity based on God, the blueprint of God for your life, not on whether you have a title, whether you work, whether you have school, whether you have money, whether you have a husband or wife. Just going back to the basics. Who does God call me? And we had that last sometime, end of last year. And this March, I actually haven't told the girls, but I'm planning on doing an event on that. I'm hoping to title it "Fear Disguised as Humility." I feel like so many times, and most of the things that I teach on at Wounded to Warrior are things that I've lived myself or that I'm living.
That's it.
Because I feel like sometimes the girls look at me like, oh, she knows this, she knows that, but it's like, no, honey, I'm also learning. I'm bringing this forward because I feel like not only am I going to benefit, you also will benefit from it as well. So I'm hoping to have that as a focus for March. And the reason I was inspired to do that is because I feel like as Christians, we let our fear disguise itself as being humble. Like they'll say, I'll give an example, like if people are not aware, I've done a few hosting gigs for your events, for NGIC events, and seriously, like Julian literally forces me to do it. He's always like, yes, you can do it, and I'm like, no, I can't. And it's not because I don't know that I'm capable of doing it. It's that fear that I have within me that then comes across as, oh, I'm being too humble, or let someone else do it, because I don't want to put myself out there too much, And I feel like the Holy Spirit really did break this down for me. It's fear, but you've let it go on as, no, someone else can do it. It's not my time yet. And really the enemy plays on that because he convinces you that, you're too nice, stay that way. God loves the humble heart. But really he's keeping you in captivity because you're missing out on taking steps of faith, and those steps of faith are what will open doors of opportunities for you.
Absolutely.
But he would rather keep you hidden in that false humility. It's not even real humility, it's false humility. Because if you're not living up to what God wants you to do, it's not humility. It's not humility.
Wow, that's an awesome topic. And this is strictly for women.
For women, but you know what? I think over time we will start mixing in and bringing in.
Is it only women that are married?
No. We actually have. Only recently I've had a few married girls come, but it's mostly single girls.
Is there age limit?
No. I mean, ideally 18 and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
18 and above. All right. And is there like how can I say, a pattern on how you do your events, or as you get inspired then you prepare the event, or do we expect every March, every April?
No, honestly, it comes by inspiration. Because I try to be as authentic as possible.
Absolutely.
I remember when I initially came up with them, we did the launch, and the reception was really good. People were so excited. Oh, when can we meet again? Or next month? And I'm thinking, oh God, it's not that I cannot commit to it, but I don't want to just do something for the sake of doing it. You know what I mean? I don't want to just and there's this idea again, this social media age of, let's run with the hype. People are so excited, so let me jump on it. hold on to it. But at the same time, I feel like when you do things that way, you burn out quickly.
Absolutely.
Because you're going because of people's applause. You're not going because it's something that's coming from a genuine place or something that's being inspired by God. Yeah, and at the moment I go based on inspiration because it takes time. It takes time. It takes time away from my child. It takes time away from my husband. I have to take time to actually study and like the workshop that we had last time. I think it was a good 6-7 weeks that I was devoting to it. You know, praying, reading, and asking God, what do you want me to say? Researching, watching other people. So it's not something that you just want to come up and do for the sake of it.
Wow, that's awesome. So, wounded to warriors. Now, I'm guessing you talk about a lot of things. So, what are the things really that you touch base on when you say wounded to warriors? You know, I know you mentioned a little bit of your objectives, but what are the really main things? Just because, just in case someone is listening to us and is saying, wounded to warrior, maybe it does not make sense to them. For example, I mean, you know, if you touch base a little bit on few things that you're really focusing on, maybe someone can be related. Maybe someone can relate to one or two things of those things, and that can give them a reason to really show up on your event.
We talk about a lot of things. Like I said, it tends to be themed, and that usually is a topic to focus on. But generally speaking, we talk about, you know, comparison in life. You walk here, people will compare you to this person. We talk about expectations of human beings. We talk about desires and wants and things that young women desire, marriage being number one in this day and age. We talk about identity, we talk about purpose, we talk about things that are, I think, things that we don't think about on a day-to-day basis, that at the end of the day define us as well. We talk about various different things. We have people come on. And share their stories. We have open forums. So it's a very chilled environment, and we talk about insecurities. We talk about, some girls have shared about their depression stories. So it's really like a down to earth, real conversation about different things that we face as women.
All right. So you heard it. If you're a young lady, a woman, and would like to be part of this awesome thing, I think it's very awesome. I think it's
Thank you.
You're doing something really, really, really good in the community that is going to heal a lot of people. You know, because a lot of times people don't really open up until they really get someone who kind of understands that it's possible that people do go through tough time, and there's ways that we can live the best life, even though we've been through, or we are going through this and this and this and that. And I think Wounded to Warriors is plays a big part in that aspect. So please join whenever she announced. I think she said March. This March there will be an event. Now, if people want to reach you concerning Wounded to Warrior, or about Wounded to Warrior, how can they reach you?
Instagram is the first place to go.
Okay.
At Wounded, as in wounded to Warrior, TO Warrior. There you can see our next events. You can DM us. You can see what we've been up to. You can see, I guess, get a little bit of a feel of who we are about.
Yeah.
So Instagram is, we're not on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave the handles and links in the descriptions as well for you to check that out. Yeah. So maybe go follow them on Instagram to be updated on the dates of the events and things like that, and so on and so on and so on. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing in the community. Apart from that, other people may not know you to a personal level, but I have that privilege to know you to that level. So, apart from all of this, you do a lot that personally I can say in the family, church, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So, thank you so much for putting yourself there for other people, because the other thing is God is inspiring you for not just you, for a lot of people, and you've took that inspiration to really bring it into the community. That's a big thing, and it needs to be recognized, and thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Like I said, maybe one day your husband can do Wounded to Warrior for Men.
Why not?
You know?
Do you know what? Just to give credit where it's due,
Yeah.
my husband has really been the pushing force for that. I've had this idea for Wounded to Warrior since maybe I was about, let's say 10 years. I don't want to reveal my age.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 years, solid 10 years, I've
Yeah.
wanted to do that. My mom has known about it. My siblings have known about
Yeah.
it. Even my friends used to say, Mimi, you do have the heart for this. You do have that thing. It's natural. It comes natural for you. Please do something about it. And I would always, again, that false humility. Oh, no, I don't want anybody to say I'm copying so and so. I don't want, I don't want anybody to say, who does she think she is? That thing. And honestly, my husband was not having any of the excuses I was giving him. He was like, no, you're gonna go for it. This is the game plan. You have all it takes.
Wow.
Do it. And he has always pushed me, has always believed in me, has always seen even further and bigger than the vision I have for Wounded to Warrior.
Wow.
And that's just a testament to, just going back on what we were saying about purposeful marriages. It just goes, it's a testament to being married to the person that God has ordained for you. I always give an example of somebody that I was briefly dating before my husband. Whenever I would speak, let's say in a group environment, and I would speak and everybody's attention would be on me, he would somehow find a way to divert the attention off of me to himself. And God has done the opposite in my husband. He brought a man who shines a light on me, who wants me to be seen and be heard. And that can only be God. That can only be God. Yeah. So
shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Husband, for pushing McLean to do what she's doing. I think this Wounded to Warrior should go even bigger and bigger and bigger.
Amen.
Yeah, and we pray that God will give you the courage. God will give you more inspiration.
Amen.
God will enable you so that you can do even bigger than what you're doing now, to impact people and to help people, to live their best life. God calls us to live our best life.
It's actually biblical.
Yeah. You understand? So it's that's why I said I have to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Because especially because of that, not only because of who you are personally, also what you are doing in the community. So thank you so much. Now, in conclusion, before we go into the word of the day, Do you have any advice or anything you would like to say to, for example, a woman that is going really through a tough time? Some wounds takes very
Time to
long
heal.
time to heal,
Yeah.
and maybe they're not seeing anywhere that that wound will ever heal.
Mm.
Do you have anything that you can say or advise or say to these people?
Mm. Um, I think what I would say is first recognize that you do have that pain. You do have that wound, and own it, because I feel like
Yeah.
many times we put on facades. We wake up, we how are you? Oh, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored, but deep down you are so hurt, you're so heartbroken. And I feel like as Christians especially, we have mastered that art of putting on a fake face when inside we are so broken. So really, the first thing I would say is acknowledge that you are hurting, acknowledge that you have been through things. And if people ask you how you're going, be honest, because healing comes first when you acknowledge that you are going through things. I'm not saying announce it to the world and a
Yeah.
a to Z what you've been through, but taking that first step to actually open up and acknowledge that you've been through pain. I think that's number one. And number two, like you said, it would take time. It would take time. I remember there was one time I was talking to a pastor in Sydney, and this is just going back to that pain thing. And I was saying, it was in regards to forgiveness. And I was saying, I've forgiven this person. I've forgiven them. It's over. It's in the past. And the pastor's question to me was, well, why are you still so affected by this person, yet you say you've forgiven them? And I said, I have forgiven them, very defensively. I have forgiven them, And the pastor said to me, he gave me this analogy. He said, you know what, how forgiveness works. When you've hurt yourself, let's say you've fallen and you have a cut, it hurts, it hurts. But over time, it starts to heal, you're not bleeding anymore, it dries, and eventually it becomes scabby, and the scabs will fall off, and you'll have a scar remaining. And I said, yes, I'm listening to him going, what is he trying to say? And he said, you still have that scar. When you look at that scar, it will remind you of the story of how you got the scar, but you will not feel the pain.
That's it.
And he said, that's how forgiveness works. When you truly forgive somebody, you can look back on the story, on the trauma, on the pain, and you can say, oh, wow, I made it through. But it will not have an effect on you that takes you back, where you are reacting the same way, you are crying the same way, you're lashing out the same way. So if you find yourself thinking about that pain and being traumatized all over again, just pray, God, I'm still hurting, I'm still going through that pain, heal me from the inside out. Heal me from the inside out. That's number two. And number three, use your story for the glory of God. Use it, because at the end of the day, we're here to glorify God. And the only way we glorify God is when we can say, I've been through some things, but look how far God has brought me. Look how far God has brought me. And it has not been because of me. It's only been because of God's grace. So use that story for the glory of God.
For the glory of God.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So today, I hope that all that we've spoken about here, Wounded to Warrior, will be somehow an impact to your life. Somehow will touch your life. Somehow it can be a blessing to someone, even you that are watching us right now. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing with Wounded to Warrior. It's something that really help a lot, and I think don't despise it, or don't think it's a small thing. I think you should think of it, that God has put something, or God has enabled you to do something that is going to impact and change people's life, so that people can actually live their best. God calls us to live our the best.
Absolutely.
So God bless you so much for that. Now, word of the day, First Samuel chapter 3 verse 9. Verse 9.
First Samuel. Yeah. First Samuel chapter 3 verse 9.
Yes.
The Bible says, "So Eli told Samuel, 'Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.' So Samuel went and lay down in his place." Amen.
Awesome. So, you familiar with the story? Yeah. So, anything that the Spirit of God puts in your heart right now, please share it with our viewers, and if you don't mind, if you can look at them while you're sharing, and say whatever that God has put in your heart, concerning that story and that particular area.
I guess my takeaway from this passage is to align yourself or go under the guidance and the leadership of people who have walked with God, because God called Samuel 3 times and Samuel was actually responding, but Samuel did not have that direct link to God. Eli had to come in and actually instruct Samuel on how to respond. I feel like we miss out on many blessings because we think we can do it ourselves. We think, we have this direct link or this direct contact. But if you have somebody who has the wisdom, who has the experience, who has the knowledge, and they're instructing you on what to do. This could be in business, it could be in marriage, it could be it could be in the sense of our faith as well, in our walk with God. If you have somebody who's been there before, do not despise that.
Absolutely.
Do not despise that. Actually hold on to it. Hold on to it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's older in age, because God calls people at different times. But when you acknowledge, when you see that somebody has the wisdom that you desire to have, hold on to them. Hold on to them. And when they come to you with a word of advice or an instruction, take heed of it. Don't take it as, they hear the same God that I hear, or they pray to the same God that I pray to. Acknowledge that there's something in them that you don't have. And I think that goes back to respect as well. If you respect somebody who is above you in wisdom, in knowledge, in experience, you listen to them. So don't be under the leadership or guidance of people you don't respect, because I feel like that could actually bring on a curse. Because if you have somebody who is above you, who's meant to be instructing you and giving you advice and giving you wisdom, and you're not doing that, actually I feel like you're calling on curses onto your life. So be under people who you respect, people who you honor. Because Samuel and Eli, there was such a huge gap in between their age, but the way Samuel was under the feet of Eli is something for us to really aspire to. Serve your spiritual leaders, honor them, listen to them, listen to their instructions, and see it as a privilege. See it as a privilege, because I feel like there are so many people who long to have that spiritual guidance, but they don't have it, and they have to figure things on their own. But when you have a spiritual father, oh my gosh, half the work is already done. So that's my take from that.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I like how you said God actually called Samuel 3 times,
Mm.
and somehow it was not a matter of responding,
Mm.
because Samuel was responding.
Mm.
All them 3 times,
Mm.
Samuel was
Yeah.
responding. It was a matter of
But there
how
was
you
something
respond.
missing, yeah.
Yeah,
How he
how you
responded.
respond,
Mm.
and how you respond. He only had to get it through Eli.
Eli, that's it.
Only Eli
Mm.
had to give him
Mm.
that information on
Mm.
how to respond.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really something very important for us to pick
Mm.
on our verse today. So God bless you so much, and for being with us from the beginning to now to the end. Miklin, Mimi, it feels weird.
So
It
strange.
feels weird
So weird.
to call you by name. But thank you so much once
Thank
again.
you.
I'm so honored to
Thank you
have
for
you
this
here.
opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for all that you've shared, and I've been inspired with all that you've shared here, and I hope that you that are watching us, you've been inspired too. And if you have, please share the video to someone else. Also, please share the video, comment, let us know. If you have any concerns or anything that you want to clarification or to understand better. And even if you did not get inspired with what we were talking about here, you can still share the video.
Yeah.
Maybe the person you share the video to can be inspired.
Yeah.
So please do share the video. God bless you, and thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you can say?
Yes.
That
Yes.
yeah.
So please, guys, support Let's Talk. It's such a great initiative. It's something that you wonder, why didn't somebody do it sooner? But clearly, it was a slice of pie that was saved for you, and thank God that you actually took it on. I always say this: Julian has a gift of shining a spotlight onto people, and it's something that not many people do. Many people, when they get a big opportunity, a platform of any kind, they tend to just keep it to themselves. But the fact that he has opened this door, has opened this platform for people of all walks of lives to come and share their stories, share their testimonies, is something to be honestly commended for. And honestly, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be waiting for when Let's Talk is mega for you to say, oh, you want to say, I was there from the beginning. You know what I mean? You want to be able to say, I used to watch when so and so was on, and look how far Let's Talk has gone. So join in the fun, support, subscribe, share this video. Like Julian said, it may not necessarily resonate with you in particular, but it will resonate with someone else, because honestly, when people of God come together for a shared purpose and goal, I feel like it's not in vain. It's not in vain, and it will bless someone. So do share, don't be selfish, share the video, like, subscribe. And Let's Talk is going far, very very far, and it's such an honor for me to be here.
Thank you so much for
you.
those kind words. In line with what you're talking about here, please pray for us. We are thinking already on looking for a bigger venue to grow. So include us in your prayers, so that God can make a way and can make it possible. So thank you once again for joining me, and thank you for all your kind words that you just said there. No one have ever said that to me before, by the way.
They feel that maybe they were shy to say it, but I'm sure they felt
so. It really means a lot, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you have a blessed week, and we'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.
Yeah.